It is late in the Monday evening of May 26, 2014, and we're at Hanley, Saskatchewan. Looking northbound up the railway that the Canadian Pacific built through here in 1890 for the Qu'Appelle Long Lake and Saskatchewan Railway Company. Regina to Prince Albert, this is about the halfway mark. Prince Albert is another 119.8 miles on. The station would have stood right in here. It wasn't built till 1905, a standard number 5 or perhaps a number 10. It was at mile 125.2 from the main line in downtown Regina. It was sold off in 1980 by Canadian National, who had inherited the line from the Canadian Northern Railway Company, which took over the lease from the CPR in July of 1906. Looking southward over the vast glacial lake bed that stretches off to the west and down to the south. The stagnant ice moraine of the Allen Hills is to the east. There's some really good farmland around here, but it was vacant for the first 10 years after the railway was built through until Andrew Duncan Davidson went down to Minnesota and set up the Saskatchewan Valley Land Company. He bought 500,000 acres from the Qu'Appelle Long Lake in Saskatchewan, further 250,000 from the government, and aggressively promoted the sale and settlement of it. Because the CPR laid the town site out in 1902 perpendicular to its rail tracks, were looking southwest down Lincoln Street, the main street. The tree might have been where the station was. Big Hanley Arena. Davidson was very successful in his enterprise, and by 1914 had some 50,000 families settled on lands between Dundurn and Davidson, and a swath on either side of the rail line. And looking southeast on First Street, because Hanley doesn't mind a little chaos in its street designation system. The orientation of both streets and avenues are random in Hanley. I think that's the cenotaph down there. Oh, and the town is saving up for a new fire hall. That's Highway 11 down there. A divided highway and very busy with traffic between Regina and Saskatoon, 56K to the north. N.A. Rudy was the pioneer merchant here from early on, and it was likely in his store that R.W. Oxley opened the post office on May 1st, 1903. Come 1904, there was a hotel, doctors, dentists, elevators trackside, livery barns, a bank, restaurants, and merchants, including hardware stores. Fires, however, in 1912, 1929, 1935, and especially 1947, freed up many lots for reconstruction, although not all were rebuilt. The old curfew bell in front of the arena, and looking southeast down Railway Street. And the cenotaph, close to the heart of so many prairie towns. Behind the cenotaph is the community hall wherein the town has its offices. The village of Hanley was incorporated on April 27, 1905, and it became a town on December the 1st of 1906. Population is 522 come 2011 and rising. And Washington Avenue, 1 block north of Lincoln Street. In 1914, Hanley built itself an opera house, which was demolished in 1982, and I wonder if it stood right here where this big concrete floor is. to First Street. Looking at the fire hall that the town wants to replace. Hanley is the administrative center for the RM of Rosedale, number 283. Has a volunteer fire department and an RCMP detachment. You can go K to 12 at the Hanley Composite. And you can get wild at the 2010 B&G. In addition to the mix of mostly German families who emigrated from Minnesota early on, from 1904, families of Norwegians began arriving in this area, as well as some bar colonists of British heritage who declined to go across the prairie to Lloydminster. Rounding out the ethnic mix was a congregation of Mennonites from Manitoba in the 1920s. I'm not sure when Hanley United was built or who built it, but it was one of the first Union churches in Saskatchewan, at least. The foundation of the United Church of Canada, which formed in 1925. Come 1911, there was 5 elevators standing trackside in Hanley. The Canadian Elevator Company, Central Grain, Northern Elevator Company, State Elevator Company, and the Saskatchewan Cooperative Elevator Company were joined in 1916 by Mutual Grain and 1918 by William Roos. Saskatchewan Wheat Pool built its 25th elevator in 1925, and on the eve of the Depression, in 1932, Stewart Grain opened up an elevator. United Grain Growers closed that one in 1999, and in 2001, the Saskatchewan Wheat Pool closed the old Saskatchewan Co-op, the last elevator in Hanley, Saskatchewan.